Hey guys, I'm talking with someone today about single women and how they are often, I guess, stigmatized in our culture. Sometimes we see single women as being doing incomplete or bitter or just living with their cats or desperate for love, all that kind of stuff. However, I will say that being single is a super valid and valuable choice in life, and that we need to respect women for this. I mean, people do not have to be in a relationship to be happy. They are happy, fulfilled, successful. It doesn't come down to, oh, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When is this going to happen? All these things that people think of, you need to have a relationship to be happy. We are going to talk about strong, independent, capable women who make their own decisions and live life on their own terms. So we're going to stop the stigma. We're going to get into a new mindset, a better mindset, and we're going to be happy and make things happen. Okay, here we go. Hey guys, we are back today with another amazing guest, incredible advocate for single women everywhere. Acamea Deadwiler is an accomplished writer who's graced the pages of top publications such as Cosmopolitan, Fox Television Network, Bustle, Yahoo, Publishers Weekly, and her TED Talk and MFA Fellowship at Randolph College have earned her significant recognition and influence. But her powerful message of empowerment and self-love for single women truly sets her apart. Her book, Single That, is a critically acclaimed work that dispels toxic myths and beliefs surrounding single women. It provides an eye opening perspective on women and dating. So, along with her personal experience, she's become a powerful and empathetic woman for single women everywhere. And her advocacy for celebrating one's independence and self worth is amazing. And her reputation of a thoughtful leader and influencer. Acamea, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Michael. How are you? Thank you.
I am doing good. I think we just made it through all the hard stuff.
We did. All right. Now we can just talk.
We can just talk. I want to do something different with you today. This is the first time. I want to play a game. We're going to do some word association. I'm going to give you a word, and you tell me the first thing that pops in your mind. And if you want to tell me why you did that, you can. Like if I say Mickey Mouse and you say
Minnie Mouse.
awesome. Okay. And then you can throw a word back at me, or you can tell me why you picked Minnie Mouse. Either way, let's do like two or three and see how that goes.
Okay,
Okay.
fun.
First word, dating.
Fun.
Okay. All right. You throw one back at me.
Sundays.
Church. Hard
Okay.
to think of chocolate syrup. I'm not sure which Sunday you
Uh-oh.
wanted.
Whichever one first came to mind,
I
Michael.
guess it was church. How about empowerment?
Ooh, strength.
Okay. You throw one back.
Springtime.
Flowers.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now about last one, Cinderella.
Glass slipper.
Okay. All right.
I know. Let me see. Last one for me. R&B.
Oh man, saxophone. Because I
Oh,
play.
you did? Oh,
Yes,
nice.
I do. So what was the first moment that you like realized that being single was like stigmatized in our society?
I would say it was as I was dating in my 30s and I had been single for, I guess, what you could consider an extended period of time, a couple years.
Yeah.
And because I think early on it's kind of just an expectation, and when you're in your 20s it's not really a stigma because you're young, so it's different. But once you start getting into your 30s as a woman, then it starts to be like, okay, when is she going to get married? When is she going to have kids? Like, that's when it starts.
There's been like whole movies written about like when is she going to get married, have kids, right?
Right, right. Everyone in the movie conspires to get this woman married. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it starts kind of when we get into our 30s, and that's when I first started to notice it, because it was like all of a sudden being single was starting to be viewed differently.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were some of like the negative experiences that you faced as a single woman?
Just, and the thing is, it comes from, it's not even specific to one gender, because I think we're all just kind of embedded with this idea of what a woman should be. But a couple of my experiences, like if I was dating a guy, in our first conversation, he would maybe ask, when are you going to have kids? And I would say, I'm open to it, but I want to be, in a situation that I think is conducive to having children and with a partner that I think would be a good parent. And he just kind of dismissed all that and was like, you're going to be 50 years old saying the same thing. So, so I was like, so I should just have a child just to have a child because I'm, getting older and I'm in my 30s. But even with women, there would be instances. By this time, I was a more accomplished writer. I was kind of making a name for myself as a writer. But if I went into networking events, they would say, "Oh, here is Acamea, my single friend, not my accomplished writer friend, not my friend who was just in this magazine." It's like all she saw was that I was single. And I was like, and I was like, this is so strange to me, but that was kind of how it started.
Is that like what got you the idea for the book, your book called Single That, or is that what started it?
It definitely is what sparked the idea for the book, because I was like, wow, there are really like negative connotations about being a single woman that I believe need to be addressed.
Yeah, it just like you talk about myths in the book, and I think those you just nailed it with those. Like, what are some of the myths you want to talk about?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I tried to pick the 10 that I hear most often or have experienced most often. And I think the big ones are just this automatic assumption that a single woman is lonely. And, loneliness is a natural human condition. We might all feel lonely sometimes, but there's this idea that a single woman is more profoundly lonely than everyone else because she can't possibly be content, without a partner. So I think that's a big one. The idea that a single woman is broken somehow, like there must be something wrong with her. That's why no one wants her. Is why she can't keep a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea that a single woman is bitter, like, oh, she must be cold and uninviting, especially if you find her attractive, then it's like, oh, no, we really need to dig into this. Something seriously wrong in there. But they're the big three, probably.
So, like, how has it changed over time? Like, have you noticed that there has been either less acceptance, more acceptance of like single women, or like what's happening with it?
I definitely think it's more acceptance, just like everything that maybe was intolerable historically is becoming more tolerable, more accepted, more supported. Granted, we still have a long way to go with everything that maybe bucks against traditional gender, traditional societal norms or gender norms. There is still a very long way to go. There are still people who hold these, outdated values and perspectives. But I think, it wouldn't be genuine to recognize that it has gotten better for women. Now it is more accepted, is more acceptable, and we're less, I don't want to say we're less ashamed to say like, hey, this is my choice. I've decided I don't want to have kids. I'm single. It's okay. And I think that comes from us fighting for that change in perspective and fighting for one another.
You bring up a good point there because there is a lot of that stigma of like, when are you going to get married, especially the relatives, the parents, that sort of stuff, right? So, and also, why is there not as much stigma with men being single? What's the deal with that?
Right. I think it's because traditionally it's been considered that the man is supposed to find the woman, and so we're lucky. We spend our whole lives preparing ourselves to be married and have children, and men kind of choose who they want. And historically, you didn't marry for love. You didn't go out here and date and find someone. The man chose you, and you were supposed to feel fortunate and happy if he did. So I think it's different for men because they're not raised with the same expectations and the same view of, you're not just viewed as someone's partner or someone's husband. You are a whole and complete man without that. Whereas women traditionally were raised to be wifed, raised to be viewed as wives and mothers, and that was their role and that was their job. And that just idea, I think, is hard to break.
Good point. And you used to have like fiefdoms and kingdoms, and it's like we're going to get this person married to this person
Right. Marry her to him, and like, yeah, so that kind of thing.
and things. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense then. When do you think that started changing? Was it 50s it changed? No. 60s, maybe 70s, 80s, 90s when?
You know, I don't know when it started to change. I think every maybe decade it shifts a little more. I do
Yeah.
think it started earlier with people like the late Supreme Court Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who fought for women's rights. Gloria Steinem. There are historically a few women who, went out there and started saying like, "Hey, I'm a woman. With
Yeah.
whether or not I'm a wife, whether or not I'm a mother, I still have value to add to society and just to live my life." So I do think it started with those women and trailblazers, and just every year, not every year, but we continue to make it more acceptable and normalize it, so to speak, where women are okay saying, "Oh, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids," or "I'm single and I'm okay and I'm content," and that empowers other women to do the same.
What do you think of the benefits of being single?
I think there are benefits, on both sides. There's pros and cons of being in a relationship and being single, but being single, I think the benefits are just the I hate to say this, but I'm going to explain.
Go
Just
ahead.
I think the freedom and the peace that you have, if you come home from a long day when you're single and you don't feel like talking to anybody, you don't have to talk to anybody. You
Right.
can, you can come home, you can sit on the couch, you can binge watch your show and have a glass of wine and do whatever you need to do to feel better. You can go wherever you want to go. There's no discussions that needs to be had about it. You just go. If I decide right now after this show, I'm going to drive to California for the weekend, I can just do that. You don't have to discuss it with anyone. And so I think those are the benefits. That's just the peace and the freedom and the ability to pour into yourself, I would say, is the biggest benefit. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want to do, whatever you like. It's all about you. And I think we all need that time. It's very necessary to have a time where the only person you have to consider and that you're pouring into is yourself, to help make you a more complete and whole person.
I think like we're on the same page because I'm single, and after getting out of relationships and being able to jump in the car and go to California, there is some benefit to that, I will tell you.
Right. Yeah, just that freedom. But I do think the biggest benefit is the time it affords you to really get to know yourself and to point to
Absolutely.
yourself and whatever you like. Because when you are in a relationship, you have to consider your partner, and what they want and what they need. But when you're single, that's your time to really just focus on you and pour into yourself and love on yourself.
Do you ever find people go like, that's a selfish attitude, or people go like, no, you should be in a relationship?
Hmm. Maybe, but that's okay. Like that, well, I think we all need to be a little selfish. To say it's a selfish attitude, okay. Like I
Yeah.
don't find that offensive at all. I think there is anything in excess becomes a negative. So we all should have a little bit of selfishness. You have to be a little selfish, as long as it's not to the point where it's destructive or harmful, to other
Yeah.
people. It's just everything in moderation. So it may be a selfish attitude. And I think we all need to have that sometimes. Like, hey, I'm focusing on myself. I'm bettering myself. I'm loving myself. You should absolutely have a healthy sense of selfishness.
Dang, I think you're talking like right here to the choir. I feel you on that. Because what do you say to the naysayers that say like, nope, you got to get married sometime? What's your comeback?
My comeback is, if that's the way you want to live your life and that's how you view things, that's fine. I don't have an issue with how anyone feels about, living their lives. My issue is with trying to force those beliefs onto other people
Hmm.
and making anyone feel less than. So if you feel that way, fine, but don't be out here making women feel less than or like something's wrong with them because they don't share your perspective.
Yeah. How do we reduce that stigma so that people start to go like, you know what, single's awesome. She's 40, 50, 60. She didn't get married. How do you reduce that stigma in the society?
Hmm. I think conversations like this, number one, help reduce it. Just talking about it. And like I said, I think the more women, especially influential women who come out and discuss it, or you don't even have to discuss it. The more women that are just living their lives without that as their number one concern, I think that naturally helps push things forward when you see women doing that and being okay, being unmarried and not having children and focusing on their careers. I think just seeing that subconsciously gives you and other women permission to do it as well, if that's what brings you joy, if that's what makes you happy. I'm not saying, you know, one is better than the other, but if you are content and you're happy, and also you don't have to have this pressure and this feeling like, oh, I have to rush out and get married. Like, if it happens, it happens, but to devalue your contributions and your existence based on it is where the issue comes in.
Yeah. So what's your advice then to the women who are worried about that, and people keep saying you got to get married, you got to do this, that, and the other? What's your advice to them?
My advice would be to just, whether it's about dealing with those people or how you feel about it yourself, if you feel that way yourself, I would always suggest taking some time to learn who you are and pour into yourself and not focus on it and try not to think about it, because honestly, that's normally when those types of things happen, when you're not thinking about it, you know, when you're not so focused on it and so gung-ho about it and putting too much pressure on the situation. I say in all things, just try to do what brings you joy and, you know, live your life. And if you're living your life that way, I believe you will naturally attract those things that your heart desires. So if you are someone who's anxious about marrying and anxious about finding your partner, I think the best way to address that is to put all that energy into yourself and, you know, loving yourself and finding a way to be happy anyway. And, you know, let's just go through the world with joy and peace, and you will attract those things that your heart desires, I think.
Amen. You just nailed it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do something. I want to play a game with you. We're going to do something called this or that. I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to give you an A and a B, you know, and you can choose one, you can choose the other, but you can't choose both. You can't choose neither. So I'll give you a simple one to start with. Tea or coffee?
Tea. Ooh, tea.
Just ooh, tea. Okay. All
Well,
right.
it depends on how tired I am. Depends on how early it is, how tired I am. But I am definitely a big tea head.
Okay. Awesome. Now I have a whole bunch of these written down someplace. I'll see if I can find them. Let me see. Single or in an open relationship?
Oh, single.
Okay. Let me see. Married or in a married and happy, or single and miserable?
Married and happy.
Oh man, do you like books or radio?
Books.
Okay. Do you like? Let me see. Soap operas or series, TV series?
TV series.
Okay. How about suits or jeans?
Jeans.
Working solo or working in a company?
Solo.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever? What's companies have you ever worked for?
I've worked for the power company here. I've worked for a real estate company. I live in Las Vegas, so I've worked for a casino, of course. One of my first jobs. Yeah, I worked for a poker company, a startup. Yeah, so I've probably had I've been at a handful of places since in the 12 years that I've been in Las Vegas.
Okay. You're out in Vegas. How about gambling or shows?
Shows.
What's your favorite one?
Yeah, I'm the person who loses $20 in the slot machine and I'm in tears. So
Yeah, I feel you. Even if I'm playing penny slots, it's like, you know.
I'm ready to go. All right. So definitely shows.
Thank you very much. I want people to be able to keep in touch with you. You've done some amazing stuff and you're going to keep doing it. You've got your book called Single That, Dispelling the Top 10 Myths of the Single Woman. Definitely. Where can we pick that up?
It's available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, any online major bookseller you can get it from.
Okay, awesome. And we've also got your website, acameadeadwiler.com. And we're also finding you on Instagram at Acamea. I won't say at Acamea, but at Acamea. And you're also up on Twitter at Acamea LD. So for everybody who's looking on Twitter, it's got the LD at the end. I just want to thank you so much for being on. And I am on board with you with the being single, and stop asking when you're going to get married and when you're going to do that and the other. I'm happy.
And that's all that matters in every circumstance. You follow your bliss. Do what you have to do to be happy. That's all. And if you're happy, honestly, to me, nothing else matters.
I'm going to say, if you're happy, you know it, clap your hands.
Nothing else.
Acamea, thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
all right, everybody else, we'll see you next time.